So my actually college years came later. That must have been like 2012 or something.
Oh,
I
okay.
think
We're getting there.
2011 I started with the whole graffiti thing, and yeah, and I painted for a year, learned like how to handle spray cans, whatever, and what graffiti is all about. I was pretty much a late starter because most people I met, like were doing this for like 10, 20 plus years. So
Uh-huh.
I was pretty much what you would call in the graffiti scene a toy, like
A
a
what?
total newbie, a toy.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah. Graffiti lingo is pretty much like New York based American. It's I wouldn't know how to actually call it, but it's street language basically.
Hello again, everyone. It's been another hot minute. Welcome back to our artist interview segment here at Brushpoint. I'm your host, Ulisses, or you can call me Justin if you're nasty. For today, we have our second ever foreign guest. That's right, we're going international, baby. So he is a freelance illustrator and concept artist hailing all the way from Germany. And fun fact, he was actually a professional graffiti artist, among other things, for a whopping 12 years before doing entertainment art, which, by the way, he did only, no, just back in 2023. That's just last year. So I'm pretty excited to know more about him. So without further ado, please welcome Mr. Simon Pape. Woo, just
Hello,
imagine
everyone.
a lot of
Yeah.
clapping.
Wow.
We got the whole stadium here, man. All
Yes,
right. So
yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank
welcome,
you. Yeah,
welcome,
yeah,
welcome. Thank you for joining us
yeah.
today.
Hi, everybody.
It's tonight. All right. So let's start by getting to know more about you. So, like from a while ago, while we were hanging out with the boys, there isn't much info on you online. This is probably your first interview. Am I right?
In this sort of scenario, you're correct. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
did interviews back in the day, like not so much video calls, but more like a radio and I think one or two like TV interviews. I was on stage once in a while, but this was like over 10 years ago and all in German.
Oh,
So
so
yeah,
locally.
I, yeah, locally. So I might be a bit rusty. So cut me some slack, but
Oh,
I think we'll be fine.
all right. So we can use this as your space to like introduce yourself internationally for a wider audience, both in here in the
Sure.
Philippines and all over the world. Whoever can has access to YouTube can see this. So let's start with how did you start your artistic journey? So I saw after some stalking, I've been following you around. I sleep under your bed. um,
Wait, what?
so no, I have a shadow clone there. No,
Okay.
but you started as a graffiti artist, right? So let's take it way back. Maybe in college. Okay? We can start with college, or no, let's start with where did that artistic awakening like, happen?
Where did my artistic awakening happen? So I was born. No, just kidding.
All of my parents met.
Well, I did was born, but
Huh?
I think that's not relevant. No. Where to begin? So my artistic awakening. Thing is, my story. Let's put a little frame around this. My story isn't really that like exciting in terms of like it's not like a Hollywood movie or something. Although it was kind of weird and the like turns it took over the years. But I think it began pretty much like with every other artist. Like when I was even when I was a kid, I drew and painted all the time. Was very good in art class, and my mom still has these old paintings up her wall, and it's like every time I visit her, be reminded of those old paintings. But it's cute. And yeah, I took art class in high school, and yeah, I started, like getting into manga and stuff. And I think the first time I really sort of, like try to approach it in a more or less serious way, whatever that, means back in the day when you're young, was when I was starting to get into Dragon Ball, and I was like so fascinated. Yeah, I was so fascinated by Toriyama's, like drawing style, and obviously the story as well. Well, everything before GT, I guess, but that's another topic. And I got all the manga, like all 42 issues. It was, I think, and like started to even like buy those ink and or like inking materials. Because I started researching online and how they actually do that, like how they draw manga, right? So, and that must have been like 2000, I don't know, 2 or 3 or something.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, yeah, it was more or less right at the beginning of the digital age, so to speak. And so a lot of stuff was still done traditionally. Hence why I got myself, like this inking stuff, inking materials, and I started to copy certain panels, from different issues that I found cool. I even took part in an art contest, a local art contest back in the city where I was living back at that time. Like the mall, started an art contest,
Oh,
and yeah,
cool.
I entered with like fan art, basically, of
Yeah.
I think I did one Goku piece, one Gohan, like Super Saiyan 2 piece, version of Gohan piece, and I think a Boo one. I made 10th place just because, like the judges said, dude, that's fan art, so we gotta like push that sort of to the side.
Ah,
But it was good
okay.
enough so I could actually rank. So that was nice. And yeah, uh, I don't know. Do you want to hear the entire story, because that was basically the starting point where I thought, this whole like comics and movies and games to an extent is pretty cool. Maybe I could do that someday. But, as it is with like when you're 12 or 13 years old, you have also other things you think about, so it wasn't like this thought in my mind, I'm gonna do this when nothing else for the rest of my life. It sort of just, like turned out this way in the end. So, but yeah, that was basically the starting point.
Okay, so let's start. Let's take it from there. And how did that affect what you took in college? What did you take in college, by the way?
Okay, now we're getting interesting. So little disclaimer: I like to, I've got a ADHD brain. Sometimes I like to ramble a lot. So if I keep on rambling, just stop me.
I'll fish
um,
you back in. All right, I'll wrangle
awesome,
you back in.
awesome. Because the thing is, mm, my years prior to my like 30th birthday were like I was all over the place and I did a lot of stuff. So when I popped out of school and after my military service, because back in the day in Germany you had to do your 9 months of either military or
Oh,
civil service. Yeah,
just like in Singapore. Okay.
yeah. They scrapped that whole idea like a year later, and I was like, "Damn you! Why couldn't you just like do this like a year prior, whatever,
Earlier.
earlier, right?" But yeah, but they reinstated it, I think, when the whole like Ukraine situation started to pop up. But whatever,
Oh.
that's besides the point. So and after that, I basically just worked here and there for a year, like trying to find out what I actually want to do. And after that, I started enroll in a school for media design. So I have a degree in media design, sort of. It's like a mashup of marketing and graphic design, basically. That was about 3 years, 2 or 3 years, can't remember.
Uh huh.
And yeah, after that, or pretty much to the tail end of, like in my third year, towards the end of the whole thing, I realized, you know what? 90% of marketing people are like pretty toxic. So I
Oh,
actually don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't
you
know if
struck
I
a
can.
chord.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have. Yeah, I don't know.
No, because I
That's
can
at
totally
least.
relate.
Yeah, that's at least what I thought, or what was my impression at the time, right?
Hmm.
Because marketing itself is such a wide field, that, like with everything, not everyone is like that. But
Mm.
at least my mind at the time was in a place where I was like, you know what, this is too much, like too much ego for me, so to say.
Uh,
And then I decided to flip the script, do something totally different, and did a social year, like voluntary social service year, and worked in a I don't know how you would call this in English. It was a sort of social area, consisting of different like organizations, who ran like a nightclub, artist galleries, artist areas, cafes, whatever, all on like a certain
yeah.
place gathered together, and it was all official and everything. And I worked there for a year and did basically like everything, nothing and everything. And that's also when I got in touch with like the whole graffiti thing. So my actually college years came later. That must have been like 2012 or something.
Oh,
I
okay.
think
We're getting there.
2011 I started with the whole graffiti thing. And yeah, and I I painted for a year, learned like how to handle spray cans, whatever, and what graffiti is all about. I was pretty much a late starter because most people I met, um, like were doing this for like 10, 20 plus years. So
Uh-huh.
I was pretty much what you would call in the graffiti scene a toy, like
A
a
what?
total newbie, a toy.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Graffiti lingo is pretty much like New York based American. It's I wouldn't know how to actually call it, but it's street language basically.
Okay.
And yeah, so a total newcomer in graffiti would be a toy. So, but the thing is, my level at which I could paint at the time, because
Uh-huh.
spray cans for me were just like learning another medium at the time, right?
I can
So
imagine. Yeah.
I had a pretty steep learning curve. And after a year, I did paintings like, I don't know, where other people who were doing this like for 10 plus years were like, what the hell, man? Technically, you're a toy, but you don't paint like a toy. What's wrong with you, man? And
Hey, that's a nice problem to have.
it's a really nice problem to have. Fun fact: whenever people tell me something like that, even to this day, I always think, man, you can't be serious about, but whatever. Um, yeah. So, and after that year, like a couple of people, just random people, because like pedestrians, whatever, unrelated people, because you're working in a open area, like which is accessible to everyone.
Uh-huh.
Um, and after a couple of people asked me while I was like painting a wall, dude, do you do this for a living? Can you do this professionally? Would you like to like paint my garage or my wall or whatever? And after like the 10th guy, I was thinking to myself, maybe I should think about doing this professionally, right? And so I did. After my this voluntary social year, I decided to go heads down, heads first, eyes closed, freelance. And at the time I didn't know what I was doing at all. I had no idea how to tackle this whole thing, and it lasted for like 6 months. Then everything
Uh-huh.
dried up. And then I realized, wait a minute, this whole freelancing thing is a bit harder than just like okay, I decided to go freelance, and jobs will come. It's not like that.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, that's when I decided, okay, you know what, I'm gonna take my time, I perfect that craft, make connections, network, what have you, and studied, enrolled in college for 3 years to give me that time. And now, to your question, to round it all up, I actually majored in psychology.
Whoa,
Yeah,
that was not, I was not expecting that. Woo!
yeah. Long
That
ramble,
was
and all of a sudden it's like psychology. Wait, what?
that was outside of the Venn diagram I was making up in my brain from that story. Like,
Yeah,
whoa,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. It's not the
Yeah.
usual thing people like study on the side. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But I was always interested, like in the human mind. Like what is consciousness and what have you.
Oh, okay.
I pretty soon realized psychology, like at least in college, isn't that, because it's basically just statistics for 3 years straight. So, but I did finish my bachelor at least, and yeah, that's
Oh,
that part of my my story.
I have a question though. So,
Go ahead.
was it your idea to take psychology, or was it your parents' idea?
Ooh, interesting.
I'm starting to see like some telltale signs here.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Um, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. It's probably my mom,
Mm-hmm.
because my mom was a single mom. She raised me, but my dad wasn't. Like he wasn't there with us since my, I think, fifth or sixth birthday or something.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so my mom, where she forwarded me, look, she was living in the city I'm living in right now. At the time, I was in a different place, and she forwarded me, here, Simon, you could psychology here in our city, in our town. What do you think about that? And obviously, you know this as well.
Uh,
You have your own choices technically, but at some point you feel like the parental pressure, right? Um,
I feel
and
that, bro.
yeah, totally. And even though it's not a thing here in Germany, I wouldn't say, if I can go on this tangent real quick. But
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm coming from a religious, like, sort of like parenting house, because my grandpa, he's like pastor or priest.
Oh,
His father
okay.
was a priest and whatever, and so on. And yeah, like households like these, they have their own things going on. So that might have played a role in this whole thing. But anyways, it turned out that I thought about applying to college. I didn't really have good A levels, right, from my high school days, because I'm not a good. I've never been a good school pupil, if you know what I mean.
Uh-huh.
I was
Dude, a
rarely.
lot of people can relate. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like more the ADHD slash autistic guy. Half the time didn't pay attention, whatever, and
Uh-huh.
my grades reflected that, because I I couldn't be my grades back in the high school days. I don't know. I
You are so relatable, man. You are so
yeah.
relatable.
I'm just trying to think about how to phrase that. Grades didn't matter to me at the time. You know what I mean?
Oh
Because
man.
because and to this day, because for me it's always about the knowledge,
Yeah.
right? So uh, in my mind, it didn't make sense um, to like value myself or other people just by the number on a sheet of paper they get at the end of the year, right? Because what I
Dude.
value is actually like actual
Yeah.
competence and knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And you can get this knowledge, and you can get skills and actual competence technically without ever going to any school, because a school is nothing else than a place where knowledge is going to be delivered to you, right? But in a systematic way. Technically, you can get this knowledge from anywhere, right? Reading books
Huh.
and what have you. So I wasn't really sure if I would actually get into psychology here at like to round this up, because amongst like law school and medicine, psychology is like these three are like
The
really
big
hard to
three.
get into. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
you need really good grades to get into that.
Uh-huh.
So I never really
Yeah.
expected to get into that. But because I did so much stuff in between my high school days and my college days, right? Like I had this completed degree in media design. I did my military service. I did this and that, and it all sort of surmassed to them saying, you know what, you did enough, man. You can come in, basically. Yeah, and I still remember to this day when I received the letter of acceptance. I was like, holy shit. Sorry, can I say it?
No, yeah, you can, man.
Yeah,
What?
excuse my French. Excuse my French. Um, I was a bit starstruck because I didn't know what to do. I didn't expect to go in, to get into college.
Yeah.
So I thought about it for a month, like back and forth. Should I do it? Should I not? Talk to friends about it. And we all decided, you know what? It's a good opportunity. Why not? Let's just do it. Yeah. And so it started with my mom sending me an email and ended with me having a bachelor in psychology.
Dude,
Yeah.
that just made you way more relatable, especially to us Filipinos. I can't speak for other Asian countries, but that's if you have no idea how many parents kind of do that. So the reason why I said it's the big three, because it's either you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're an engineer, or you're
Right.
IT. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and a lot of students here keep asking, like, what should I take? Like, is it okay if I'm in like engineering or IT? I'm taking IT or computer science right now. Like, yeah, like what you said, they only look at your portfolio, your work, and the knowledge that you can get. Like, the only advantage that schools have is it's structured learning, right? You can get that outside. Forrest, who was the guest before you, like didn't go to college. Like he could learn
I
that stuff on
know.
his outside. Yeah. So, and you guys are uh talking about the same thing. Like you guys didn't talk about it. Like this is the plan. We're gonna talk about this in the Brushpoint
Yeah.
interview. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's based from experience. So that's great. And this is hopefully it's getting it's inspiring other younger artists here from whoever's listening. So thank you for that well-rounded uh background check, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah. It's my pleasure, and sorry for the long tangents I tend to go on.
No,
But
no, no. People like that nitty-gritty stuff because they
okay.
need the info of people that they look up to. So we have some of your fans here in the audience right now, and they're really
Damn,
curious,
I've
like,
got
how did you
fans.
start?
Whew, I'm famous.
You'd be
Awesome.
surprised. Yeah, like one of them that I talked to, like, knew about you because of LinkedIn. So like, you're everywhere, man. Yeah,
You're pretty active on LinkedIn, right?
yeah. I kind of am. Yeah,
Okay. I only
got you on
started
that.
getting into it like half a year ago, I think. But yeah,
Half a year
awesome.
ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
socials are a weird thing for me, because um, on the one hand, I recognize that I need them, or that as a professional full-time freelancer working from who's not living in LA, basically.
Oh, the Mecca.
Yeah, yeah. So you're kind of dependent on, or let's say who works remote. It's kind of you're kind of dependent on this like marketing aspect
Hmm.
of the internet, and socials are a great tool for that. And but I sort of have a love and hate relationship with them, because if it wasn't for my job, I wouldn't have any socials at all. Like honestly, because
Oh,
I don't know, man. It's at least from
unproductive.
yeah, it's from a consumer perspective. At least for
Mm-hmm.
me, I don't speak for anyone else, but for me as a consumer, it's a total waste of time. because I could, spend my time way more like either productively or better, like with more fun doing other stuff than just scrolling endlessly on socials. You know what I mean?
Doom
Uh,
scrolling. They call that doom
yeah,
scrolling.
yeah. So what I try to do is, post regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, it's mostly reposts of quote unquote older work, just because I've been so busy with the work on Deckerhard.
Mm-hmm.
And so like all the stuff I could actually share, um, or the newest stuff I could actually share is like, I don't know, half a year old. So I was like, okay, I have nothing, no content, nothing to post from the past 6 months. So I just, like need to repost stuff, which is okay, I think, because, sometimes people started following you just recently and didn't see stuff. So that's fine. Something I had to get used to,
Mm-hmm.
because reposting your own stuff, or like posting, um, uh, uh, at a certain pace regularly, it kind of feels weird, because I feel bad, sort of, even, for like shouting to the void always the same stuff. And I was thinking, man, people must be annoyed by me because I'm like
You're
reposting my stuff all
flooding.
the time. Yeah.
No, no, man, you gotta market yourself. It's part of the grind,
Yeah, exactly,
unfortunately.
exactly. And that's where I realized that, and that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you don't have the, like ability to go to places like in person, because
Mm-hmm. Oh.
technically and also in reality, the best
Mm-hmm.
and sort of most efficient way, if you want to put it that way, to break into this whole entertainment industry, is to actually go to conventions, or to events, right?
Events, yeah.
And and actually meeting people in person. Nothing beats that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but if you don't have this option, which I can totally relate, because it's, like hella expensive to go to, I don't know, to, let's say, Lightbox is coming up, which is in Pasadena. Like
Uh-huh.
it's LA area,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys coming from the Philippines, it's
Oh, we need a
probably half.
visa.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
we
need
need a
visa.
visa
It's half a
first.
fortune to go there, and it's like just,
Exact
like a huge pain in the ass. So I
is,
get
yeah.
that, and so the next best option is, like your socials, email marketing and social media, right? And just to get the visibility. Yeah.
That's perfect, man. That's a perfect segue because I was gonna ask, like, what are your suggestions to break into the industry? So thank you for that. Because a lot of us freelance here, a lot
Oh,
of
you
us
do?
want to break into. Yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
working full time for remotely for a studio offshore. So there's
Oh,
that.
cool. Which
Some
studio?
people here. Oh, Boom Zap Entertainment,
I
casual
don't.
gaming industry.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's a little niche. Some people work for Magic the Gathering, Hearthstone. Some of them illustrate for those, and they're mostly freelance. And some of the younger artists, a lot of them actually, want to know how to break in. Like, yeah, we can't go there physically. That's the best option to get yourself seen. And right now, digitally, that's what they can do. Market themselves. But speaking of a grind, let's wind it back a bit. So you were a graffiti artist for like more than a decade. And I'm excited to learn about your digital endeavors. But let's take it back like 12 years ago or 13 since you started last year. So let's wind it back down. What made you stay that long in the graffiti art industry?
Short answer, probably the safety of having it,
Mm-hmm.
because I kind of stumbled into the whole thing
Mm-hmm.
when I finished, my media design degree, and we learned all kinds of stuff back in that school, like Photoshop, web design, um, drawing class, painting class, and like 3D, 2D animation, which was funny because at the time Adobe Flash was actually the way to go for 2D animation, web-based 2D animation. Like the old HTML 3 days, I think. And I think during my second year midterm, HTML4 came out, and I still remember when my teacher went to started class the other day and was like starting out saying, "You know what? We don't need Adobe Flash anymore. Everything you learned like for the past 1.5 years, useless. We got to scrap that." And I was like, "What the hell?" Yeah, that was funny. But yeah, back in that time, I was always fascinated already with this whole entertainment art thing. I always thought I really, really want to be like like a game artist, by extent a
Mm-hmm.
movie artist, whatever. Because when you were younger, the thought was really cool. Thinking about, oh, I'm sitting in the cinema and end credits roll and there's my name and what would be so cool. And obviously, the older you get, your like priorities and your actual the stuff that actually fulfills you changes. And but yeah, I started out actually wanting to do what I do today, and it's just because of a friend I met during that time who introduced me to the whole graffiti thing. And he got a friend who saw me painting, and he was like, "Dude, you're good. I know another friend, who's running this whole company doing like professional graffiti for a living, employing people and what have you." And I was like, "Yeah, you want to come?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And so they invited me to their place for a quick interview. Wanted me to like bring my portfolio. My portfolio at the time were just it, it consisted of quirky artwork, fan arts of like digital fan arts of the Flash and like Batman.
Hey,
And like one or two walls I painted earlier the same year. But there are not that many good artists with like that can paint with spray can. It's a very small niche industry basically. And so they said, "You know what? You have potential. You're good. Let's start working together." And I gave me a shot. And then I worked a couple of years as a subcontractor for this company. Then after that, switched gears to another company. Always did like solo freelance gigs whenever um, uh, client asked me specifically to do something for them. But all this time, all this art, we say graffiti, but it's more like contemporary art with spray can, so it's pretty boring visually. um yeah, it's not like what you would see in actually graffiti hall, like writing styles and cool characters and what have you. It's more like cool, like very 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 aesthetic landscapes, on substations and house
is this
walls and
like
what have you.
mural art? Is that like
It's
mural
so
art?
yeah, it's like realistic mural art, because
Oh,
the clientele ranges from, on the one end you have like the homeowner who just wants their front garage painted with, I don't know, the logo of their favorite soccer or football, I guess, a club, um, and on the other end you have like big energy companies who are very interested in having their substations they have to place all over the country, just to like relay the energy. um like they look just like gray cubes, and they have a heavy interest in getting them beautified, let's call it that, right?
oh, okay.
And yeah, that's where I was coming in. And you know aesthetically it's like you have, I can show you later on when we do the screen sharing thing.
Oh, please, yeah.
Or I guess I could show you actually right now. I have to just quickly find
Oh,
stuff.
okay. Is that okay? Oh, okay. If you're comfortable with showing that, it's all good.
Oh, I don't mind. It's all in the past.
Okay.
I just gotta find it. I
No,
didn't prepare this.
oh, okay.
So
If you want, you can show it later while you're critiquing the artworks, or before you
yeah,
critique the
we can
arts.
do that. I think we can do
All
that.
right, no problem.
So yeah, it's not like cool New York style mural graffiti stuff. It's yeah, but I did that for a very long time, and it's just volume. You paint so many walls, you paint so many birds, animals, trees, like whatever, all kinds of different elements. Naturalistic painting, basically.
Uh huh.
Um, for like 10 to 12 years, that at some point it just became, at least with spray can, second nature. So the whole switch from me deciding, what, in the beginning of 2023, I don't want to do this job anymore. I want to go back to what I actually wanted to do back in the day when I started, like the whole art journey. The whole switch was fairly, well, I don't want to say easy, but quick. Let's put it that way, because it was just like transitioning from one medium to another, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how that came to be.
Got a question though, because
Sure.
during your commercial art, graffiti art days, you were being
Yeah.
paid to make art, but
Right.
did you feel fulfilled while doing it?
Not at all. If I'm being
Oh,
completely honest, not at all.
right.
It's probably one of the reasons why I felt the urge in the end to switch basically an entire industry
Uh huh.
to like entertainment art, because
Uh huh.
technically, when you're freelancing in games or in movies, it's technically the same thing. You're paid by a client to do what they want, right? Or
Uh huh.
what they require for their product, right? And they hire you for your expertise, and especially for your mind. It's not so much like your technical skills. Obviously, that's a given, that you have to have a certain, like, you have to hit a certain threshold of technical sort of competence, to be able to visualize whatever like the client needs. But you're more hired for your artistic intuition, for your artistic mind, for your artistic senses, right? Especially
Yeah.
as a concept artist, because your task is to design cool stuff all day, right? So it's not about having flashy, cool um,
Rendering.
renderings. I think the concept section on my website is a bit misleading, because all that stuff in there is like basically rendered way too much, way too far. But little disclaimer here, I actually didn't know where to put them else, so I split them up. Split the illustration and concept part up. Yeah, but I've got stuff cooking, so I'm gonna fill that up with actual concept art, hopefully next year. And yeah, so no, I've got to find my point again. And so yeah, right. So technically, you could say it's not. It's in the same vein. It's not. It could technically not be as fulfilling,
Uh huh.
but for me at least, there's a huge difference between painting like birds and random landscapes, boring landscapes, and freaking dragons and spaceships all day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think even though you're still dependent on client work, it's way more fulfilling than anything I did like the 10 years prior, right?
Let's talk about reality, because
Yeah.
you may not be fulfilled, but was that secure, that lifestyle, that job as a graffiti artist? Because leaving that safety net is kind of scary when you're transitioning into another job. And a lot of the younger people here, myself included, I was scared, but I wasn't really happy with my former job. I was a graphic designer for advertising. So I can relate with what you
Oh,
said
oh
about
yeah, I see, I
marketing being
see.
even like. I felt that in my soul. Okay,
I
I was
see.
not
I
happy.
see.
I was miserable, but I
Uh
wanted to
huh.
take that shift. A lot of people want to take that leap as well. So I want to ask you, maybe this can help inspire people. What was it that drove you to jump into the entertainment industry? What pushed you? Because you were leaving your safety net, and that's scary. No.
Sure. So, a little caveat, a caveat at first, or I guess disclaimer. It, even though I was like more or less safe as a subcontractor working,
Uh huh.
in this whole graffiti thing, you're still a freelancer, so you're actually technically never really safe, you know.
Stable. Yeah.
Yeah, or stable. But it was, let's put it that way. So it was a way more stable thing that I've got now, right? So, but I get where you're coming from, and the thing for me was that started to really almost despise the whole job, because right,
Oh.
yeah. The thing is, right in the beginning, it was super cool because everything was new. Like you were traveling all over the country, meeting new people, and you're meeting, you're working for a company who's like constantly, telling you, dude, you're so awesome, and if you keep at it, you're gonna be a superstar, whatever. And everything, because I never earned that much money in my life before, so it felt really good, but after doing that for a couple of years, because mainly the job consists of on the road from Monday to Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes even on weekends,
Uh huh.
because you're also heavily dependent on the weather, because sometimes you have a really
Oh.
bad season. Yeah, it's seasonal work, so you don't work in the winter time, right? And sometimes you have a really bad season for, it's raining all the time, so you've got to, just to make do, or to reach your quota, sort of, you have to work on weekends because the sun was shining on the weekends but it was raining during the week. F
Oh.
me. So I had to bite the bullet a couple of times, but it was okay in the beginning because it was, like, I was sleeping in like 3-4 star hotels, and it was like,
Oh,
uh,
cool.
you know, yeah, at the beginning it wasn't like that in the end.
Oh,
um, I
jealous.
realized, yeah, reflecting back, that everything they sort of gave me, like that one company I started out working as a subcontractor, everything they gave me in the beginning was more to sort of lure me in, if you know what I mean. And they
Oh,
cut that
okay.
down over time, and then it just became a regular job, and at some point, I didn't really want to sort of get out of bed Monday morning, because I knew, oh man, I have this these 5 projects. I have to go to this town. I have to drive like 5 hours there. I have to pack all my materials, and I'm gonna be there for the next 5 days. I can't see friends. I eat unhealthy because on the road, you can just either eat in the hotel or like fast food, and so my health went down over the years,
Yeah.
and I could really feel that. Also, like working with spray cans constantly, even though I have
Oh,
like breathing
the
gas
mask.
masks, it's still not that healthy. If you do it
Okay.
like over a large span of time, a couple of years, and yeah, in essence, it turned out to be a real drain on my body and my, like my soul, if you can say that. So,
Yeah.
and at one point, I was basically fed up with the whole thing, because it was a real struggle to get clients year after year. I didn't want to work as a subcontractor all my life. And then at that point, I realized, wait a minute, just started this whole thing actually just to like earn some living and bridge my career until I can actually do what I set out to do, which is entertainment art. And I kind of lost that mission for 12 years, apparently. But luckily I found it again. Yeah. So
It's never too
yeah,
late.
yeah. Dude, I told you earlier, like in the warm up for everyone else here, I'm old. I'm turning 37 this year, right? So um, having heard what like how my whole career meandered, to this point, and me deciding with back then 35, you know what, scrap that. I'm gonna like do a complete 180 and go into entertainment art. It's still possible, so never give up.
Dude, it's inspiring because I'm not just saying that to sugarcoat it, because some people here think that it's too late for them. They did a different
Ah,
course. They're working somewhere else. Like I was talking to a friend of my girlfriend, and then she found out I was working in games, and she was like, "Oh, you're living the
all right.
dream. Like I could never." What do you mean you could never? You just
The
need to
dream.
draw. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's and okay, so you started last year. You made that leap last year. 35 years old. Wait, were you 35? No,
Mhm.
36? Uh,
I turned 36, so my birthday is in December.
okay.
Actually, to this day, 3 months from now. And I'm turning 37 this year, right? So I decided at the beginning or like early 2023 to make that switch. So I was 35 at that time, yeah.
35 years old. So last year.
I'm
Since then,
old.
no, we're still at the early ages. We're not at the twilight of our lives yet. So
True, true, true.
last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What what do people say? It's like 30 is the new 20 or something, right?
30 is a
So
new
yeah,
20. Yeah.
yeah,
We,
yeah.
we had a pandemic, so those 2 3 years didn't
Right?
count. We were in a time loop. It felt like limbo. That doesn't count. Okay. So we're
Sure.
still,
We all just turned 23, right? So
yeah. Well, I'm 26.
okay, okay,
No,
okay.
but your position is kind of should be uplifting for people here. So I want to ask, since then, when you made that decision to transition, what has been your big break? Like, what helped you get to where you are right now? What was that moment where you thought, okay, I can do this?
Um Honestly, it was a weird uh sort of chain of events that to this day I'm not really sure if they're connected or not.
Mhm.
Um so okay, first thing, I know everyone, likes to know like the way to get into the industry, like a perfect formula. And if you follow that formula, success will be guaranteed. Thing is, with this industry, especially if you're working remote as a freelancer, the truth is there's no one real way, right? So all you can do is like increase the odds, basically, like make your own sort of luck and increase the chances or odds to be seen. And which isn't to say that you shouldn't have a plan. I did. um I said to myself, you know what, first thing is I don't have a portfolio. I have something I need to have something to show, right? So I came up with a personal project called the Amberlight Chronicles,
Your personal
which
IP.
my personal IP, right? It's a story driven world building IP, which is kind of I found out later is basically the hardest way to approach this whole personal IP thing. So yeah, don't do that. Just start small, right? So because I thought up an entire story, with you have this one guy, and then with his horse, and then you have this young dragon, and that's the whole backstory. And he raised this young dragon, and blah, 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 and then you have this entire world, and then you have like a couple of biomes, and they look like that, and I have this all mapped out, and then I did that because I wanted to give me like sort of a constant a document where I could fall back to if I needed some inspiration for an artwork, right? So because if you're trying to tell a story, especially in like comic or graphic novel form, which this thing could totally turn into later, potentially, you need like illustrations for key moments, right? So I had certain key moments set up, started working on that, and but because my money, like the drained out, I had to find a way to sort of survive. And I started researching. I hopped into Twitch, connecting with some people. I started researching online. Where do people actually, find work if you're not an established artist? And my starting point was like Dungeons and Dragons, or basically private commissions, right?
Cool.
And yeah. So I started out this whole. I learned that Reddit was a thing. I never bothered with Reddit in my life, right? So because back in the day when Reddit came up, the younger people may not notice, but the first iterations of Reddit just looked like total garbage. It's like,
Yeah, the
it's
UI.
like, yeah, terrible. Like a web 1.0, like a cluster
I saw the
of
forum.
everything. It's a total mess. So I never bothered with it. But I found out, okay, a lot of commissioners get their clients, or vice versa, on like Reddit and also Twitter. And I had my Twitter account at that time was pretty dormant because I didn't bother with socials at all for like 10 years because I didn't have to. I had my
Yeah.
other job, right? And so I sort of I put out the dust, reinvigorated those accounts. I started a Reddit account and try to market myself as best as I can with the small following that I had. I mean, my following is still small. That's probably just because I don't really care that much about like huge followings. Um, you know, whoever wants to follow me can do it, but I'm not eager to like. I need to have 10K followers, otherwise I'm not, like worth it. So yeah, I started the whole, made a Reddit account, and went into all these subreddits, like hire an illustrator, hire an artist, whatever, and try to promote myself with the little work that I got. And lo and behold, either via Twitter or via Reddit, I'm not sure. I try to ask the clients whenever they approached me, but usually I either forget about it or they don't, like specifically answer that. So I never really know where they're coming from. But my best guess is Reddit and Twitter, and I got some clients who approached me, like some privateers, private people who just wanted, artwork done for their D&D group. And so I did. I think my first commission was actually a group commission. 4 characters, like fully rendered and I think I still have it up on my website. They're all posed like they're like, like it's a photo shoot, and you have this little what's the cat race called in D&D? I always forget. Well, this little female mage in the middle, and then an elf mage, and then like the pirate on the side, and was comparatively good pay for my first commission, right? So I thought, dude, the sky's the limit. I made it, right? And then everything went silent for another month, and I was like, okay. But now the juicy part. Remember when Baldur's Gate 3 came out last year, like right around August, right? I made a tribute artwork, just random tiefling, because I'm not a fan of like fan art in itself. I do it once in a while, but I want to paint my stuff basically.
Same.
Yeah. But I recognize that it's a good way to get like to get seen,
Get the buzz.
right?
Yeah.
Get the buzz going, right? So I said to myself, okay, I'm not going to do a Karlak fan art because everyone and their grandma is doing this right now at the time. Not doing like any other character from Baldur's Gate. But what I'm going to do is I pick a D&D race and do a small spot illustration, right? Something I could actually manage in time. So I did a half-body spot illustration of a tiefling warlock. It's also up on my website. Still kept on promoting every week. Guys, my commissions are open on Twitter and Reddit. And during that time, the whole D&D... Sorry, what was that?
No, you're talking about the grind. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, the grind, yeah. And during that time, like especially D&D commissioners, it just went through the roof. Like there were inquiries going out left and right. So one of these days, I got a message, an email from Lauren Bailey, whom I didn't know at the time. Do you know who this is?
Laura Bailey.
Yeah.
From her directly. Woo-hoo!
Yeah. I was like, hi, my name is Laura. I have a small Twitch stream, and we're looking for artwork for a stream. And what's the deal with you? And at the time, I didn't know what Critical Role was. I didn't know what this whole big thing actually was, because I just didn't follow it over the years. And I replied, I can do that. These are my rates, and just send me back some detailed explanations of what you're actually looking for, so I can craft a more or less individualized offer for you, right? So the way I approach it is I never set my budget or my rates in stone. So I'm rather in the in the boat of, okay, let's find out what you as a client actually need and want, and find a way where we both reach what we want and be happy with it, right? So let's say if the client's budget isn't that big, but he wants something that's usable for their, I don't know, D&D campaign or whatever, I offer them, okay, we can reduce it. We can scrap the background, or we can, reduce the rendering, something like that. Anyways, so I sent that over. Never had any reply. To this day, I never heard back from her. Now, 2 weeks later, and to this day, I don't know if these two events are connected. 2 weeks later, Leisha Hannigan, do you know her?
Yeah, I'm familiar with her.
Yeah, she's a very well-known artist, especially magic artist in D&D. Super awesome human being. She contacted me and asked me if I would like to work on this little game Daggerheart that Critical Role is doing. And I was like, Dagger who? Critical what? Right? So I started Google. I knew Leisure, obviously, because I played Magic since 2003. I'm one of those guys who saw their first Magic card and was like, oh dude, I'm gonna pay for Magic one day. And it's still one of my goals on my bucket list. And but that's an entire different story. And anyway, so I knew Leisha, but I didn't know what the project was about. So I Googled, Critical Role and Daggerheart, and I was like, holy how did I not, Matthew, who are these guys, right? And then that's when I found out, wait, Laura Bailey? Wait a minute. I know that name. And then I looked up into my email account. Wait a minute. She wrote me 2 weeks earlier. I was like, what the hell? So I don't know for sure, but my theory is that she saw during this whole BG3 thing on Twitter, my tiefling tribute artwork, contacted me, saw my reply. I try to keep it as professional as possible, and saw my reply, maybe forwarded it to Leisha, who then contacted me, and so that's how I got into like working on Daggerheart, right? So it was a weird chain of coincidental events, right?
Whoa. Okay, because I'm looking at the chat right now, and when you said Laura Bailey, like they started going crazy. Like,
Really? Okay,
yeah,
okay. I mean, they're all great from what I know, right?
yeah,
We, I don't know how much I can say. I think it's safe to say that we don't like during the internally we don't talk to like the critical role cast at all. We don't
yeah,
know these guys, right? Um, because Darrington, who's producing the game, is basically the publishing house slash company
yeah,
founded by Critical Role, right? Yeah. So
yeah.
there's no connection between us. But yeah, it
Okay,
was a
but she
huge
hooked you
mind.
up. Yeah, she hooked you up with the gig, but for
Yeah, it
her,
was weird. It was super weird, right? And yeah, and how it then turned out to be, like uh, like all seeing all those great artists who came on the project and at the beginning of this year, like big names, right? Names you were looking up, names I knew for like 10 plus years. I was looking up for like 10 plus years, right?
yeah,
And suddenly I'm working amongst them, like I'm one of them, and I'm still kind of baffled by this whole thing because I'm just sitting there, happy that like that I'm here, right?
uh huh.
And but yeah, it's cool to get to know all these people.
And as someone who's part of that, whenever you go out or hang out with people, or I don't know, family dinners maybe, or talk with other people, I want to ask, given all of that, now where you are right now, what's the attitude of Germans towards art as a career? Because here in the Philippines, you'd be surprised. Like there's this other artist who's now an art director. He finished nursing, and then when he got into this like rich club meeting, like when people ask, "What's your work?" "Oh, I'm an artist." Started scoffing. And then, but when he told them how much he earns per illustration, they were like, "It's more than I earn in a month." So I want to ask, how are you Germans towards art as a career? Because it like in a European setting.
Yeah, sure. I get you. So the thing with Germany, and maybe I don't know if I can speak for the like entire EU,
Mm-hmm.
but at least for Germany is very, how to phrase that. Germany is very very conservative when it comes to like everything that's
Oh,
out of the box, like innovation and taking risks. We want to play it safe,
oh,
partly because of our history, or not our, but the country's history, and partly just because it's it's like European mentality or German extent in mentality not to rush headfirst into stuff, right?
mm-hmm.
So most of my peers and family, obviously as well, they were raised with the mindset, go to school, get a degree, get a job, and a job is just there to earn you some money, provide you with, make a living, and but your real life happens outside of that, right? So a job is just a job.
Mm-hmm.
And so most of my peers, luckily I could like convince some of them over the years, but most of my peers still, I don't know, I don't think that they think it's just all like irgendwie like sorry, I slipped into German for a second.
It's okay,
um
man.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They don't, I don't think that they still think it's all fun and games all day, right? But they have a really hard time accepting that doing this as a living requires certain sacrifices, right? So I can't, especially because I'm basically just starting out in the industry. I have to still, like grind the grind, right? So I'm working like a lot, and which is okay, I guess, because I'm also sort of a hermit sometimes. Although although I mean, I love meeting people. I love going out. It's not like that, but I never had a problem being alone with myself, if that makes sense. So it's not that big of a deal for me to sit, like at home and painting away for like hours on days. Whereas, like some of my peers be like, dude, we didn't see each other for like, I don't know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. What the hell, man? Your job can't be that like demanding. And I was like, dude, I'm working for the US. Obviously, whenever you go to bed, I'm still working, right?
Oh,
So
oh,
obviously you don't have to, but if you want to, there are certain periods or phases where you have to be available for a quick communication, right? So my working hours sort of shifted back from the typical, say 9 to 4 or 5, to
uh-huh.
more like I start working at noon or like 1 p.m. into the evening, right? So I'm still
Mm-hmm.
available for my American peers to like talk to. Um, and yeah, so my after hours is probably something around like 10 p.m.
It's not too late. Not that bad.
Yeah, 11. I mean, I try to keep more or less of a system, but yeah, as you know, as a freelancer, it's more it rarely works out that way. So yeah. Did it answer your question? I sort of forgot.
No, you did. Actually,
Yeah.
you
Okay.
answered two questions. I was gonna ask another
Oh, sure.
question, but you no, but you
Awesome.
already tackled it because like the struggles of working, as a
Yeah.
freelancer in Germany, and Filipinos, on the other hand, sorta have like that same scenario, except our time zones are, I think, way off, so to speak, like 12-hour difference. So, uh, some people work night shifts just to work with US people here. So we're going
Yeah.
against our natural sleeping cycle. And
Mm-hmm.
it's still a struggle though. Like a lot of us can also relate where when some people say like, come on man, why can't you hang out with us anymore? Like don't you just draw? Like, no man, it takes more than just drawing because we're also communicating with the client. And that's
Absolutely.
what they yeah.
Absolutely. And I think what I got to learn is that a lot of artists have a sort of almost like naturally shifted, like what's it called, chrono cycle.
Yeah.
So a lot of artists, despite doing art, usually like start out their day late and work during the night.
Yeah.
Like because their brains are
More active.
more active at that time, right?
Yeah.
Just by nature, apparently.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So this working, like cycle actually fits that chronotype really well. But obviously, like the typical 9 to 5 people, they don't really understand, right? But having said all that, the same peers are still rooting, and rooting for me and asking me like every month, dude, when will I have my first magic card? Where's my Simon Pape magic card? I was like, yeah, chill, man, chill, man. It's a work in progress, right? Because they're all playing Magic as well, right?
Oh, they're
So
looking
yeah,
forward. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
are we, man. I don't know. I see one comment here from Ella. Like if you had like an art book, she would totally buy. Like, oh, you got a fan here.
Really, really. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Duly noted. Probably something for next year, I guess, at the
Y-
earliest. I gotta have some stuff to show first, right? But yeah, maybe
You
the Amberlight
you heard
Chronicles.
that? Yeah, you heard that live here, Ella. So we're gonna keep an eye out on that. All right, sweet. Okay, with all of that behind us, we are nearing the end of our interview. But I got one more question to cap off the
Sure,
interview, and then we can move on to the critique session. And you can also
sure.
show us before that some of your graffiti art. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So one question: as an artist for more than 10 years, you've worked in commercial art, you've worked in graphic design, still a creative endeavor. You've worked in graffiti art. Now you're working entertainment art. What do you think is something that tech bros get wrong about art and their use of AI?
Man, and I was wondering when this whole thing will come up.
Yeah, you
Oof.
felt it.
So wait a minute. That's your last question before the feedback round. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's such a big question, right? You can fill up an entire interview only with that.
Hmm.
So what do I think? Do tech bros think about art and AI?
Or what do they get wrong? Like, what do they misunderstand? Like, when they try to
Um,
use AI as a business
okay.
model.
Um, I how should I put this?
You can be
I,
colorful with your
I
words.
don't, I don't try to be too opinionated about stuff online. So I have to think about, because some people might get, I don't know, maybe offended by the term
Offended? Oh,
tech bro or whatever. So I would say there are certain just people out there um, who maybe love this whole like AI art thing, especially. Um, I prefer to call it like not AI but LLM, but for simplicity's sakes, it's let's call it AI. But technically, it's not like intelligent. It's just like a word and
you're
a
feeding it
pixel.
stuff. Uh huh.
Yeah, I mean it's a word. Like ChatGPT is for words, and then like Midjourney and the such the alike for then pixels. It's just words and pixels. Like mashup machines, basically. There's no real intelligence behind them, so they don't have like they don't think, they don't have understand concepts, right? So that's also one reason why so at first I was freaking out a little bit about the whole AI thing, because it started out right when I was starting out. So I was like,
Oh.
oh shoot, do I actually have a chance to make it? And on the other hand, do people actually think I did my stuff, like by hand? Spoiler, I only used AI once in 2022. I played around with it, and I was like, holy shit, I don't need this. Sorry.
It's all good, man.
So yeah. So, but I quickly realized that stuff can't really do what tech bros are promising the masses, and especially in like series production, meaning game and like triple A gaming or
Uh
even
huh.
double A gaming, but generally gaming and movie. It won't be that like impactful, because it can't grasp concepts of things. And it's crucial if you want to design a game and design like a movie, write a
Uh huh.
movie, to understand the concept of the concept of a car, let's say, or the concept of a tree. They don't understand it. They're just approximating. Okay, here's a tree, like, and in this tree there's a certain texture, and based on this quadrillion images I was fed illegally by like some greedy tech bros. I approximate that the next pixel will be this, right? So
Mm.
so it's not really that usable. I think the fascination from certain people when it comes to AI art comes from them seeing or never really having realized, or just seeing art as a commodity, basically, right? So most people, or I don't know, I can't generalize that I, 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 I don't want to generalize, but I just think that a lot of people don't really care or
Mm-hmm.
never really thought about the process behind art, but at the same time they're consuming art related products and content all the time, right? Everything around you is made by some form of artist, one way or the other, right? Everything has to be designed, and I think what's obvious and also sort of a almost second nature for most artists, meaning like the enjoyment of the artistic process and the fulfillment you get from it, and the stuff you learn about yourself during that process. Yeah, these people probably can't relate to that because they have never experienced it themselves. All they see is or all I think is, I want cool Marvel movie. I see cool Marvel movie, but I don't really care who made it and how it's made, right? So, and I have friends. One in particular, I talked about this specific thing like a year ago with him. He works in IT, ironically. He's a good dude. He's a good dude. He Nowadays he understands, but back in the day he was like, I don't care. I just want to, I don't care how it's made. If it's cool, I buy it, right? So, yeah, I think artists, it can be helpful for artists at least to try to understand where other people are coming from, like in terms of their mindset. Because I totally understand the frustration about AI art as an artist. So that helps, and also don't engage with trolls on Twitter because they're just there to rage bait.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I
But
hear you.
in a nutshell, I think they never got, those people don't know the artistic process, don't know what art actually entails, and how long and tedious this whole process, especially the learning process, is to develop those skills. But ironically, once they do, as I have seen with some friends, like some peers of mine who I talked to about this, they started to appreciate my work because they realized, holy crap, he's actually, like this real skill behind this, right? And yeah, so that one IT guy, nowadays he's like, yeah, I wouldn't buy AI art. And I think the general public starts to, despise. No, despise is such a hard word. Sort of frown upon it, more and
Okay.
more, because I think it's deeply rooted in human nature to like seek out connection, like to another living being, be it like a pet, like a dog or cat or another human being, right? And if you know that a cool piece of art is made by someone else who's got the same like concerns and feelings and moments of happiness and sadness as you can relate to that, right? You can't relate to something that's mashed up by a machine. So I've seen a lot of people who, the moment they found out that an artwork is made with AI, which becomes increasingly more difficult to distinguish these days, especially for non-seasoned like artists or non-artists at all. The moment they found out it's made with AI, they instantly like threw it to the side. Okay, I don't care about it anymore. So yeah, I don't think it will have like this doom and gloom impact that everyone was so afraid of like a year ago or 2 years ago. I think it was just like a big shock moment because Silicon Valley and all those tech billionaires decided, okay, we want to create a huge hype cycle around this thing because we want to sell this thing. And in order to sell this thing, we need to create hype, and we need to create some form of product that people are actually willing to pay for, right? And for them, the easiest way to sort of commercialize the LLMs they trained either the text-based or image-based ones were stuff like Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, and ChatGPT. And but in the end, what they wanted is, it's basically redistribution of wealth, if you think about it. And but anyways, I digress. So I'm not afraid of this anymore. I don't think it will have the huge impact that people or this huge negative impact that people make it out to have. And I'm hopeful, and I'm seeing every day more and more that also the general public is realizing, hey, wait a minute, Sam Altman and Elon Musk and et al., they're just trying to sell us Kool-Aid, again. Basically, right? So yeah, it's a topic. It's a topic.
It's a topic, but it's unfortunately it's kind of relevant, especially like I wanted to get your thoughts on it, because your position's kind of unique, because you're coming from like more than 10 years as an artist, but you only started entertainment art last year. So a lot of the younger students are kind of worried, like, are they gonna get the junior positions now? They're gonna fill it with AI? No.
I think so the way I went about it is I was just focusing on my work.
Nice.
I was just sort of tried to shut out all this noise and everything else, because I had these freak out moments as well. As my buddy, my IT buddy who I mentioned earlier, also had to experience, because like 1.5 years ago, I was really I think I was really irritating to him because I was freaking out so much, right? And but I always went back to, okay, put my smartphone to the side. I don't look at social media for a week, or at least for a couple of days, and just focus on the work, right? Because the one thing that will actually eventually get you work as a remote freelancer is the quality of your work. That's the gateway. It's like in the same way that art in games and movies is the gateway for the consumer to actually buy the game or buy the movie and get into the game. In the same way, your portfolio is the gateway for clients to approach you and get to know you. And it's just at that stage where the second, my opinion, important part comes into play. The quality is the first one, but the second one is your personality. And by that, I don't mean like, okay, pretend to be someone you are not. What I mean by that is, being easy to work with, having a solution-oriented mind, having like not being afraid to share your ideas, and just all around be easy to work with is a big plus, right? And that's all, as far as I know, that's at least it was the case in my years prior to that. The reason I got hired in the first place was my portfolio. The reason I got hired again was my reputation, or like other people recommending me to other people, right? So you kind of need both. So yeah, if you have neither, just focus on the work. Make the best work that's possible to you, and try to wow people with it. And once people notice you, then you can work on other stuff, right?
Those are some assuring words. The reason you got hired is because of your portfolio, and the reason you got hired again is your reputation. And I think that's a perfect way to end this interview segment, Mr. Simon Pape, or I'm gonna get this right, Mr. Simon Pape. Did I get it right? Did I get it? Am I close?
You totally botched it, man. I'm out of here.
Oh,
No, it's good. No, it's good.
dang it. Thank you so much for those words,
German
man.
is weird, man. Let's just not get started about that
Oh
one.
man, wait till you hear our like dialects here in Filipino. Even I have trouble pronouncing it. Thank you
it's
for
all
that.
right, Justin Umali.
Hey, he got it. He said my name right off the bat. See, let's go,
You
guys.
don't know it, but we practiced before
dang
recording.
it, man! Trying to drop me. Oh. And once again, thank you for that. Thank you for that
welcome.
interesting answer. Could you show us real quick your graffiti art before we move on?
Yeah. So give me a second because it's all. I have to find it because it's all wrapped up in a bazillion folders.
No problem. We can shoot some questions right here.
Sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
While we're so, guys, feel free to put in your questions and I'll ask them. Oh, by the way, so I wanted to ask because there's this huge mall franchise here in the country. Like we're talking Forbes magazine, Rich. Yeah, they use AI for their posters for their pub map, and we had a discussion on that actually in Discord where most of their market, like their target market, they don't really care. Like what you said with your IT friend, as long as they need the visuals, they're not really gonna look into the soul of the poster. Like they just need to convey and get the idea across. And then these corporate people, they want to cut costs because understandably it's a business. So they're gonna do that the most cost efficient way with AI. And we had a whole debate like the AI took like they could have commissioned someone for that poster, but also at the same time it's cost efficient because these people just walk by, they don't like sit and stare at it and like appreciate the fingers, the eyeballs and stuff. So
Sure. Yeah. So one thing that will definitely be impacted, and I'm not surprised at all about it, is marketing. Because marketing people, it's, we talked about it earlier, it's one of the reasons when I realized how this whole industry works and decided not wanting to work there, is 90% of marketing people couldn't care less about art. They're just basically they're more money and buzz oriented and less about the artistic aspects of actual art. So I was not surprised at all that marketing agencies were hopping on this whole thing in droves when they realized, hey, wait a minute, we can cut out the middle guy we needed to pay all the time for our marketing illustrations or whatever, or graphics. So I've got a couple of stuff, but I think I just show something I just found.
Sure. Can share your screen.
Share. Which one?
Oh, Ella is asking, Simon, can you say boy as Kratos to just... Because some people are saying we look like Kratos and Atreus. From God of War.
Boy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's one's for you guys.
Yeah, sorry. The thing is, at some point in my life, my hair decided to wander from, like the top of my face to the bottom and just, flip around and sit there. So yeah, that's the best look I could come up with. But I guess it's good for trailer voices coming this summer.
Some fan service right there.
Yeah. So I think this one's correct, right? Okay. So right.
Whoa.
Yeah, my it's bazillion images, but I just picked up one folder I found. So the more commercial side of graffiti was something like, I was painting like these so-called substations, just relay like stations for like energy companies, and because they're more or less just gray cubes, they decided they want to have them painted. So these are examples. You try to sort of incorporate them into the environment so they ideally disappear right? So
So
this
cool.
this thing here is also painted like a postal box, like a yeah. It's supposed to look like an old post office, but as you can see, pretty boring stuff, like flowers and birds and stuff. So, but it was good money, I guess. Ironically,
Have to.
I've made more this year than I did make any of the other years with graffiti, which is weird, but whatever.
Damn.
So yeah, and the private stuff is more stuff like, I don't know, stuff like this.
Oh, I saw
I
that.
was I was to the tail end of my graffiti career. In quotes, I started like writing styles, which is like your letters, your name, which is Sarah. It's my tag. I started out as a Sirius, like Sirius Black, or Sirius the Star, but I
Oh,
quickly learned that it's really hard. The word Sirius, which is Sirius. It's really hard to make that look and cool in a stylistic way because of the double S and the double I. Because typography plays a huge role in graffiti, which I also had back in my media design days. So I love cool typography, and so I switched my name back, from Sirius to Zera, which is a way cooler name, and can also turn the other way around to Aris, depending on how I felt. So yeah, but mostly I did like more character and backgrounds. Here's one where I didn't come up with the whole thing, because this one is actually a character out of a digital TCG called Eternal card game, and I think it's called a Sandstorm Titan. And but I thought this dude is freaking amazing. Maybe also one moment where my let's call it subconscious, urge to actually do game art came through, but I didn't accept it at the time. So, but I did want to paint it. So yeah, I came up with this whole. It's a pretty basic concept, It's like Sandstorm, and my guys, my crew, they painted the styles. So yeah, that's basically what I did over the years. I could show you a bazillion more, but yeah. So yeah, that's
cool.
basically it.
If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. But if you're still looking for more ways you can learn, just head on down to our website at brushpoint.io, where you can watch behind the scenes of this video, watch our live interviews and artist interviews a week earlier, art processes, tutorials, art talks, and lives every single Friday, and even a way to join our Discord community. Just check out that website. Well, that's it. If you want to share this knowledge, well, share with your friends. Like the video, and of course, subscribe if you want more content like this. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.